Shalom, everyone. Praise Yah. That we hunger and we thirst for righteousness. Thank you, Yahuwah, that you have opened our eyes and caused us to hear, that our hearts might turn and repent. That even though there is a famine for the word of Yahuwah, because there are so many other things, it doesn't mean all of us are starving. And we don't have to be. Stay focused. Pay attention. Keep your eyes on the word. Father, we just thank you, Yahuwah, that even though there is a famine for your word in the land, a dryness from the thirst, Father, that there is still some food. There are still those that would feed us, Yahuwah. You still feed us, Yahuwah. You feed us physically. You feed us spiritually. Father, it's not your desire that we not be fed. It's our own desires that have caused us not to seek any longer. Too busy seeking the things of the world, and the things of the world are enmity with you. Father, I ask Yah that you would open the eyes, cause the ears to hear, and hearts to turn and repent as the time draws near. Hallelujah. In your precious, mighty, holy name, Yahuwah, who came to rescue us. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay. We're going to start by fixing my pen. Okay. We're going to start in Amos. This is the verse that we're going to focus in on. See, days are coming, declares the Master Yahuwah, that I shall send a hunger in the land, not a hunger for bread, nor a thirst for water, but a hearing for the words of Yahuwah. Doesn't mean there's not a hunger for bread or a thirst for water. Those could very well be there. Maybe he allowed it. But the most grievous part of the whole statement is but a hearing for the word of Yahuwah Elohim. So we'll start in Amos 8. And we're going to read all of Amos 8. Starting at verse 1. All of it means starting at verse 1, I guess. This is what the Master Yahuwah showed me, and see, a basket of summer fruit. It's the end of the summer season, which will bring us into the fall. And he said, Amos, what do you see? And I said, a basket of summer fruit. And Yahuwah said to me, the end has come upon my people Yisrael. No longer do I pardon them, because judgment begins with the house of Elohim. And we better be paying attention. Our desire needs to be for the word of Yahuwah Elohim, or we will be famished. And there better be people teaching the proper order of Yahuwah Elohim, or the people will be famished. Not so concerned about feeding themselves. The nation will be ripe for judgment. Judgment whether they're going to make it in the first resurrection. Judgment whether the rest is going to come in at the second resurrection. And the songs of the Hekel shall be wailing in that day. Declares the Master Yahuwah. Like a wolf in the night. Just be wailing. Many dead bodies everywhere thrown into any place. Hush. Hear this, you who are swallowing up the needy, to do away with the poor of the land. Hear this. Hear this. Let's pull that up in the e-sword. Let's see what that looks like. Swallowing up. A primitive root. Make sure you guys can see this. No, you can only see me. Eek! Now let's look at it in the e-sword. Swallowing up is H7602 in the Strongs. A primitive root. To inhale eagerly. Like, right now. Quick, get him. Oh, just eager to do it. Figuratively, to covet. By implication, to be angry. Also to hasten. But if we take it to the ancient Hebrew lexicon, we see that it is at 1477 DV. To swallow. Second definition is draw. To draw water from a well. A drawing in by swallowing, as the snake swallows its prey. Hear this, you who are swallowing up the needy like a snake eager to swallow up its prey. The pictograph shin is a picture of the teeth. The pei is a picture of a mouth. Combined, these mean sharp teeth in the mouth. A serpent, a venomous snake, has sharp fangs in the mouth. Its prey is taken into the mouth, swallowed by drawing down into the belly. We need to be wise as a serpent and unmixed as a dove, because there are those out there in the faith, quote unquote faith, and out of the faith, looking to swallow up the needy and do away with the poor of the land. These ones actually happen to be in the faith because let's read on. Saying, when does the new moon pass so that we sell grain? And the Sabbath, so that we trade our wheat to make an ephah small, and the shekel large, and to falsify the scales by deceit. They could care less about the weightier matters, right ruling and judgment and compassion. To buy the poor for silver and the needy for a pair of sandals, and sell the chaff of the wheat. The chaff is supposed to come off the wheat. We're supposed to have the chaff beaten off of us. The picture is they're like chaff in the wind. It's no good. And this is what they want to feed you. People need to be fed the seed that is inside, not the chaff that's thrown into the wind to blow away. The seed is the word, and the word is everything in its proper order from the El to the Ta. that begins with keeping the Torah and having the testimony of Yahushua Messiah. That is just that, plain and simple. Yahuwah has sworn by the excellency of Jacob, I shall never forget any of their works. He's not going to forget that. Maybe if you repent, your sins are as far as the east is from the west. However, our works will show up. Hay, stubble, or silver, or gold. Shall the land not tremble for this, and everyone mourn who dwells in it? And all of it shall swell like the river, heave and subside like the river Mitzrayim. And it shall be in that day, declares the Master Yahuwah, that I shall cause the sun to go down at noon, the brightest part of the day, and shall darken the earth on the day of brightness, and shall turn your festivals into mourning, and all your songs into lamentations. These folks are being pressed in the time of Jacob's trouble. And that is why the sun is going down at noon. And we'll just take a quick look because, well, here we are in this time, in near time. So it's not the focus, but we'll look at it. The sun's going to go down at noon. 1411 GG in the ancient Hebrew lexicon. Shining, something that shines bright. Also, noon is the brightest part of the day. From the glistening of the olive oil, we are to be pressed. Is there oil in our lamp? Or is it going to be dark at the brightest part of the day, when the sun as a bridegroom has come out of his chambers, running the race across the sky? Are we going to be shining lamps? And shall turn your festivals into mourning, and all your songs into lamentations, and sackcloth on all, and bring go back, and bring sackcloth on all loins, because there's death of the seed. They're feeding you the chaff. Those that were the sackcloth on the loins is a picture of death of the seed of the loins, and baldness, no covering, on every head, and shall make it like mourning for an only a child, as the product of a union. Comes from Ichad, from unity, from oneness, and shall make it like the mourning for an only son, for the seed that is supposed to come from the union between Yahuwah and those he has chosen to bring forth the word. And its end is like the day of bitterness, stagnant waters. But he wants to drink that. Better get a life straw. See, the days are coming, declares the Master Yahuwah, that I shall send a hunger in the land, not a hunger for bread, nor a thirst for water. Those may already be there. And in fact, they're going to be. But for hearing the words of Yahuwah, they're coming. And they shall wander from sea to sea and from north to east, seeking the word of Yahuwah. And we need to seek him while he may be found. Now is the time. But they shall not find it. Why? Because no one's feeding it to them. No one's feeding in the trueness of the depths of the word the testimony of Yahushua Messiah and who he is as the king after in the proper order, the Malik Zadik, and keeping the commands and coming into an intimate relationship with him as you seek for him as treasure, that you might see the order of everything from the El to the Ta and have an intimate relationship with him as your husband. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. And are they really seeking him? One foot in, one foot out. Or somebody not feeding them? Maybe they're seeking it and now they're not being fed. When you're hungry, you're going to go look for food. But maybe there's nothing there to feed you. In that day, the beautiful maidens and strong young men shall faint from thirst. Those swearing by the guilt of Shomeron who say, as your mighty one lives, O Dan, and as the way of Beersheba lives, and they shall fail and never rise again. These ones are supposed to be out there feeding us the word of Elohim. And they are not. People are seeking it. People are saying they're giving it to you. Well, that's a shadow on my head. All right. Interesting shadow. Interesting shadow. If I turn a little bit, nope, it's not going to go away. All right, so that's not going to help either. Okay, so first thing I want to look at before we really start diving into this point where they're supposed to be feeding. You're supposed to be being fed if you are seeking it as treasure. You should be being fed it. And it's not that Yahuwah can't feed it to you. We all should have our own noses in the books. But that doesn't mean we don't listen to other people. Not constantly. We should be searching and seeking for ourselves. But are those that are responsible for doing that doing it? Okay, so first I want to look at, I just want to real quick talk about the reasons for the physical famine and the thirst that are coming. Because they're coming. And I want everybody to be forewarned. And it's not that Yahuwah Elohim cannot take care of you. Because he can. Plenty of folks in the Bible prepared. And some folks didn't. Yahuwah took care of it. Either way. But we need to be aware. Because there will be a physical famine and a physical hunger in the land. The most unemployment since the Great Depression. There are meat shortages, there are packing plants, there are the flooding in 2019 and 2020, there's an economic downturn, there's a printing of monopoly money. Like that's been going on for a long time, but the whole point is the economic crash. Something that I didn't list on here was the fact that they just had the economic reset forum, i.e. debt jubilee. The stimulus monies are going to run out, probably the end of July. Unemployment monies, which have stimulus money on top of them, if people are receiving unemployment right now, runs out the end of July. Highest drug usage they've seen. A lot of the Chinese goods are barred from coming in. We see higher prices at the grocery store. And Revelation speaks of such events. A third of the water, a third of the plants. It's coming. It's coming. Don't want to talk a lot about that. Most important thing we can do to prepare, yes, physically, but the most important thing we can do to prepare is be seeking and searching for the word of Elohim like it was treasure. And be seeking out those few, because there's only a few, because the remnant is small. O ye little flock, O ye small remnant. Oh, I guess we're going to look at the words in this verse first. He's going to send a hunger. And it is H7458 in the land. 7458. Ra'ab from 7456. Hunger. More or less extensive. Famine is generally extensive. We see in the ancient Hebrew lexicon, it's 2777N. At the end, we see famine and hungry. We see that it's a resh, an ayin, and a bait. The action is hunger. The concrete is famine. What I want you to remember about this, and it doesn't really tell us a lot in either one. What I want you to see in this word is the resh and the ayin. The resh and the ayin. Yes, there is a bait at the end of this. Benner doesn't have anything, doesn't have it coming from any particular two-letter root. In my opinion, it comes from the resh ayin, and we'll see why. Thirst. I don't want to spend a lot of time on thirst. That's another deal. I really wanted to spend time on hunger today, but just so you could see thirst, it's H6772, Zahma, from 6770. Thirst, literally or figuratively. You see it right down here, 1404EN in the ancient Hebrew lexicon. It's thirst. Action is thirst. Concrete is dry. The pictograph Zadi is a picture, Zod is a picture of a man on his side representing the hunt. The mem is a picture of water. Combine these mean hunt for water. A fasting from water or food. On the hunt for water. Because you need to have water, food, and shelter in that order. Straight away. Okay, I don't want to focus on the thirst. Just want to focus on the hunger today. Not a hunger for bread, nor a thirst for water, but for a hearing of the words of Yahuwah. Here's our hearing. We're all very familiar with it. It is Shema. A primitive root to hear intelligently, often with the implication of attention, obedience, etc. We see here in the ancient Hebrew lexicon, it's to hear. It's the shin, the mem, and the ayin. The action is hear. The concrete is report. The abstract is obedience, a careful hearing of someone or something as well as responding appropriately in obedience or action. From the shin mem, listening with the breath. Are we listening to the breath of Yahuwah, Elohim, and those little flock, small remnant that would be feeding us that would cause us to hear intelligently in order that we could be obedient and pay attention to everything from keeping every single piece of the Torah to the hidden treasures that are inside of his word, that we could come in and be intimate with our husband. Is that what we're listening to? Or are we sitting on the surface? Are we searching it out for ourselves? And are we listening to those that would feed that to us? Not concerned with swallowing us up. Oh, for hearing what? For hearing the El-Ta. Everything in its proper order, from the El to the Ta. Is that what we're missing out on? 1 foot in and 1 foot out because we're not being fed properly? Because there's a famine? Is it what we're really seeking? Are we seeking it for ourselves? They shall diligently search, seeking the word of Yahuwah, but they shall not find it. Here's our word diligently. Shoot. A primitive root, properly to push forth, but used only figuratively to lash, that is, the sea with oars, to row, by implication to travel. they shall diligently search, back and forth like a whip, which is exactly what Hasatan told Yahuwah he was doing, going back and forth in the earth. What was he looking to do? Seeking whom he may devour. Back and forth like a whip, diligently seeking, but being whipped around like every wind and wave of doctrine by people that are supposed to be in the Torah teaching it. And of course, outside they're not. The action is scourge, the concrete is whip. A whipping or lashing out at someone or something out of hatred or punishment. Going back and forth as a whip, seeking what they might eat to secure themselves, to be a first fruit in the basket. But they can't find it nowhere. Why not? He sent a famine on the land. Because people want 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and those that are supposed to be teaching it want to swallow them up. I did not say that. So, let's go find out if that's true. One of the footnotes in Amos, at verse 12, Amos 8:12, was this right here. Yehezkel 34. One to 31. Oh, some notes in here. Okay, Yehezkel 34. 1 to 31. Verses 1 and 2. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Yisrael. Prophesy and say to them, Thus says the Master Yahuwah to the shepherds, Woe to the shepherds of Yisrael, who have been feeding themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? Okay. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? They're starving. And they'd rather feed themselves. Swallow them up. H7462 is the word for shepherds. Right there. Ra'ah, a primitive root, to tend a flock, that is pasture it. Intransitively to graze, literally or figuratively, generally to rule, by extension to associate with, as a friend. 1453 HV in the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon. Resh Ayin. Remember I said look for the Resh Ayin. This, I sincerely believe this is where the word famine comes from. Resh Ayin Hay, feed, to provide feed or pasture to the flock. At the H, it's again the Resh Ayin Hay. The action is feed, the concrete is pasture, the abstract is desire. What should the desire of the shepherd be? Or is he useless? One who provides and protects the flock and takes desire in them, not scatters them. Two-letter root is the resh ayin. The action is feed, the concrete is shepherd, the abstract is desire. The pictograph resh is a picture of the head of man. The ayin is a picture of the eye. Combine these mean man watches. The man should be watching over the sheep, over the flock, and feeding them the food that they need to eat. They're going to starve. There's famine in the land. That's not what they want to do. And none of the sheep want it till they realize they want it. It's going to be famine in the land. He just said so. The shepherd closely watched over his flock. Often they are his only companions. So we see the resh. If I can get over there. The resh, the ayin, and the hay. This man, this shepherd, this head of the flock should be watching over the sheep. Should be causing them to be ayin, intimate, to know what the revelation of Yahuwah Messiah is in its fullness. Not feeding themselves. Not worried about cheating on the scales. Not worried about swallowing up the needy and the poor of the land like prey and leaving them out for the prey. Woe to the shepherds of Yisrael who have been feeding. That is not correct. Let me just take that out of there. It's existence. To exist. To exist or have breath. That which exists has breath. In Hebrew thought, the breath is the character of someone or something. Just as a man has character, so do objects. The action is breath, the concrete is breath, the abstract is exist. It comes from the hey. The pictograph hay represents one who is looking at a great sight with his hands raised and taking a long breath. Again, same definition for the second letter. They exist as feeding themselves instead of causing people to be able to hear Shem, to listen to the breath of Yahuwah Elohim. They exist as feeding, same word, themselves. It's all about them. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? Should not the shepherds, those who are supposed to be feeding, feed the flock? The flock is from an unused root meaning to migrate, a collective name for a flock of sheep or goats, also figuratively of men. Comes from the Zion noon. They are supposed to be feeding Zion. Zadi noon. A Zod is, again, the man on his side. It means hunt, journey, trail, chase. The Wa is the tent peg. Hook, secure, add, join. The noon, at the end there is the seed. It can mean continue, air, sun. They are supposed to be feeding as a shepherd everything that the flock needs. Those that are on the trail looking to secure themselves to the seed, to the word, so that they can listen to what Elohim has breathed and be obedient to it. Nope, it's all mine. I'm only feeding you under certain conditions. You have to meet my criteria. What kind of garbage is that? And do we desire to be fed? figuratively as men, as the flock? Are those the kind of shepherds we're searching out? Those that would truly feed us? And keep feeding us? Not that we shouldn't go into the Word and look for ourselves. Because Yahuwah is the chief shepherd. But Paul said, follow me as I follow Messiah. It doesn't mean you're following Paul. It means you're listening to those that are feeding the sheep. There's a famine. There is a famine in this land. And has there been other times throughout history? Yes. There's a famine in this land. There's going to be a famine for food and a thirst for water. It's already going to be here. But what's the real famine going to be? That there's no one there. For the harvest is many, but the laborers are few. All kinds of people out there laboring. What are they laboring for? And if they are sincere, you can be sincerely sincere and be sincerely wrong. Verses 3 through 6. Yehezkel 34. You eat the fat, you put on the wool. You slaughter the fatlings. You do not feed the flock. You slaughter the fatlings. You kill them that are fed, it says here in the King James. We are a living sacrifice unto Elohim. Ye kill them that are fed, but you feed not the flock. 1043 EB is fed. Fat. Grain is fed to the livestock, making them full or fat. The two-letter root is the family of heads. Slaughtering those that are trying to feed on that which would come from the family of heads. The true grain. And if they get it, you slaughter them. You scatter them. You do not feed the flock. You keep it for yourself. Those that get it, you keep for yourself. Feed the flock, no matter where they are. You have not strengthened the weak, nor have you healed the sick, nor bound up the broken, nor brought back the straying. We're not going to look at all those words. Nor sought what was lost. But you have ruled them with might and harshness. And they were scattered because there was no shepherd. Wait a minute. There was a shepherd. He just said, woe to the shepherds. So there was a shepherd, but he wasn't really a shepherd. Verse 5. And they existed as meat, as food. Food. Through sustenance one becomes whole and satisfied. Comes from being tamed for the yoke, wanting to bend the will to the instructions to be part of the bride. Yet because there was no shepherd and he scattered them, they now exist instead of being able to feed others. as part of the bride. They exist as meat, as food for all the lives of the field. So instead of being one, having a life, this is our word for life. When the stomach is empty, one is famished and weak, and when it is filled, one is revived. The organ that is seen as life, as an empty stomach, is like death, but a revived stomach is life. Okay? So instead of having life in them from being fed by a shepherd who is properly feeding them, who is not feeding himself or herself or themselves, they have now instead had the reversal and become food and for the lives, for the beasts of the field when they were scattered. No wonder he ain't going to forget it. My sheep wandered through all the mountains and on every high hill, and my sheep were scattered all over the face of the earth, and no one was seeking or searching for them. Therefore, you shepherds, you who are supposed to be feeding the flock of Yahuwah Elohim, hear the word of Yahuwah, as I live, because he lives. He is the food that feeds the life of the stomach. As I live. Chai. I am the way, the truth, and the life. As I live, declares Yahuwah. Because my flock became prey. It became plunder. It became a spoil. The removal of what is of value as when an attacking army takes from the defeated all that is of value, or the loss of value of a food due to spoilage. It's a bait Zion. The action is spoil, the concrete is spoils, and the abstract is despise. The pictograph bait is a house. The Zion is an agricultural implement or a weapon. Combined, these pictographs have the meaning of a house cut or attacked. An enemy would plunder a household for goods to supply themselves as a bird of prey attacks its prey. As I live, as I am the one who have given for everything to be fed from the breath of my mouth, declares the Master Yahuwah, because my flock became a prey, like a house cut, like a house attacked, because they were scattered, and my flock became food for every life, every beast of the field, from not having a shepherd. And my shepherds did not search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves and did not feed my flock. Therefore, O shepherds, hear the word of Yahuwah. The sheep are starving. The sheep are starving. Thus says the Master Yahuwah, see, I am against the shepherds, and shall require my flock at their hand, the blood on your hands, and shall make them cease feeding the sheep, and the shepherds shall feed themselves no more. Because they're starving. They're scattered, and they're starving. Shall feed themselves no more. And here we see feed themselves. We see it is 5750. The other times it didn't have this word themselves there like this. It just had the feeding, but here we see it in full context. Od from 5749, properly iteration or continuance, used only adverbally, with or without preposition. Again, repeatedly still more. The ancient Hebrew lexicon, we see it at 1349 JN at the bottom of the page. Again, a repeating of something. It's from right to left, an ayin, a wa, and a dal. 1349, we see it is the ayin and the dal. Action is repeat. The abstract is witness. The ayin is a picture of the eye. The dal is a picture of the door. Combine these means, see the door as coming to attentive meaning and entering in, a place, time, or event that is repeated again and again. And the shepherds shall feed themselves no more. Again and again and again and again. Over and over and over and over. See the door. They don't want you to, they're not feeding you the stuff. Maybe some of the stuff that'll cause you to see the door. But will it cause you to be intimate, the ayin, to know him and secure yourself in the fact that the door will be opened unto you? No. And I shall deliver my flock from their mouths, because they need to shut them. And they shall no longer be food for them. And this is why there is a famine, and the people will look. And they'll go back and forth and back and forth. Some are really desiring it. Some got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. But the shepherds that are feeding themselves are responsible for scattering the flock and not causing them to be intimate and securing themselves with the possibility of going through the door. What is our true desire? What is it? For thus says the Master Yahuwah, see, I myself shall search for my sheep and seek them out. Well, praise Yah. Stick your nose in the book, okay? He will show you who he is. You must desire it with all your heart. You must search for it as hidden treasure. As a shepherd seeks out his flock on the day he is among his scattered sheep, so I shall seek out my sheep and deliver them from all the places where they were scattered, in a day of cloud and in thick darkness. And I shall bring them out from the peoples, and gather them from the lands, and shall bring them to their own land. And I shall feed them on the mountain of Israel, in the valleys and in the dwellings of the land. He's going to gather you in. From all the lands, you will no longer be scattered. There are still people that are scattered. We are not in the land with Yahuwah right now. And if there's people in the land with Yahuwah right now, and this is that time that they've all been gathered in, or they were gathered in a number of years ago, and that's what it's going to look like, this is all for naught. Because that place over there is wicked. The whole world's under the spell of the evil one. I get it. In good pasture I shall feed them, and their fold shall be on the high mountain of Israel. They shall lie there in a good fold and feed in rich pasture on the mountain of Israel. We ain't there yet. I shall feed my flock and make them lie down, declares the Master Yahuwah. I shall seek out the lost and bring back the strayed. I shall bind up the broken and strengthen what was sick. But the fat and the strong I shall destroy. I shall feed them with right ruling. I have no idea what I was going to look at in that verse, but I guess we'll go find out. I will seek those who are following everything from the El to the Ta, that which was lost when they were scattered, to be separated from the whole life or functionality. They were scattered. They were separated. Let me make this bigger. And bring again that which was driven away. He's going to bring it again. He's going to cause them to shub, to repent. Even though they were driven away, they were tossed to and fro. And bind up that's where we get our word chosen from. And bind up that which was broken. And I will strengthen that. I will strengthen that. I will give them something to tightly grab hold of and support them. I will strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy. A complete annihilation or extermination comes from Shem. He's going to destroy them with the sword, with the word of his mouth. I will completely destroy the fat. Oh, I don't want to go into that. And the strong. I will feed them with judgment. Because judgment begins with the house of Elohim. And as for you, O my flock, thus says the Master Yahuwah, see, I am judging between sheep and sheep, between rams and goats. Is it not enough for you to have eaten up the good pasture, and the rest of your pasture you trample with your feet? Or that you should drink of the clear waters, and the rest you muddy with your feet? There's a famine, and there's a thirst for the hearing of the word of Elohim. Somebody ate it up, somebody trampled on it. As for my flock, they eat what you have trampled with your feet, and they drink what you have muddied with your feet. Therefore, thus says the Master Yahuwah. Looks like they're walking on their own understanding. See, I myself shall judge between fat and lean sheep, because you have pushed with flank and shoulder, and thrusted all the weak ones with your horns, and scattered them abroad. Therefore I shall save my flock, and let them no longer be prey. And I shall judge between sheep and sheep, and I shall raise up over them one shepherd, my servant Dawid, and he shall feed them, and he shall feed them and be their shepherd. And I, Yahuwah, shall be their Elohim, and my servant Dawid a prince in their midst. I, Yahuwah, have spoken. He's talking about Yahushua Messiah. The one that's going to come from the house of Dawid. He shall feed them and be their shepherd. He's talking about a picture of a king and a priest because he ate from the table of the showbread. He shall be their Elohim, and his servant Dawid a prince in their midst. He will not forget. Repent. Feed the flock of Elohim. Feed them everything from the El to the Tav. No matter where they are. No matter if they agree with you or not. Feed them the proper order, because we are not supposed to pull up any tares with the wheat. As a matter of fact, we have no idea who's going to turn and repent. We have no idea. Israel is still scattered. And yet they start to come into the knowledge of the truth. And they get scattered again? Knock it off. Shepherd the flock of Elohim. 1 Peter 5:1-4. As a fellow elder and witness of the suffering of Messiah, and also a sharer, I think it's chaber, of the esteem that is to be revealed. It's what they're supposed to be leading them to. I appeal to the elders among you, not only to the revelation here and now, but to the revelation of him that is to come, the esteem of him that is to come. That was the hey at the end of the word ra'ah. No. Whichever word had the hey at the end, it escapes me now. Well, let's go look, because I can't have that. Yes. The hay at the end. See the hay at the end? This is what the shepherds are supposed to be giving you. The revelation of Yahushua Messiah. Feeding you everything in the proper order from the El to the Ta. There's supposed to be this man watching over you, causing you to give you the things, feeding you the things for you to be intimate that he has revealed, which leads you to being a sharer of the esteem that is to be revealed. Not only the shepherd, but those that he shepherded. I appeal to the elders among you. Shepherd the flock. Feed my sheep of Elohim, which is among you, serving as overseers. Not by compulsion, but voluntarily. Freely received, now freely give. Not out of greed for filthy gain, but eagerly. Neither as being masters over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you shall receive the never-fading crown of esteem, or the judgment, whichever it is. John 21:15-23. When therefore they had eaten breakfast, Yahushua said to Shimon Kepha, Shimon of Yonah, do you love me more than these? He didn't ask him if he was greater than these. He asked him if he loved him more than these. He said to him, yes, master, you know that I love you. Yahushua knew he loved him. He said to him, feed my lambs, my lambkins. He said to him again the second time, Shimon, son of Yonah, do you love me? Are you the greatest? No. Do you love me? more than yourself, more than life? Do you love him? Do we love him? He said to him, Yes, Master, you know that I love you. He said to him, Shepherd my sheep, feed my sheep. He said to him the third time, Shimon of Yonah, do you love me? Kepha was sad, because he said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Master, you know all. Because he's all-knowing. You know that I love you. Yahusha said to him, Feed my sheep. You must love him fully. He knows if you do. You must love him fully. More, we must love ourselves less and less and less. That which we would desire and we would want that is of ourselves, we must love him more than anything else. That must be our desire in order to be able to feed his sheep and not ourselves. Truly, truly, I say to you, when you were younger and girded yourself and walked where you wished. But when you are old, you shall stretch out your hands, and another shall gird you and bring you where you do not wish. Now he said this to signify what death he would esteem Elohim, by what death he would esteem Elohim. And having said this, he said to him, Follow me, follow the word, and feed it freely to others. Freely you've been given, freely you've received, freely give. Freely you've been given, freely give. Follow the word. Love him with all your strength, soul, mind, body, and give it to the sheep. And Kepha, turning around, saw the taught one with whom Yahusha loved following, who also had leaned on his breast at the supper and said, Master, who is the one who is delivering you up? Seeing him, Kepha said to Yahusha, But Master, what about this one? Yahusha said to him, If I wish him to remain till I come, what is that to you? You follow me. You do what you need to do. Don't concern yourself with the other ones. You continue to love me above all and feed my sheep. That's a command to the shepherds. Whether you're a man or a woman, the sons and the daughters prophesy. If he has freely given to you his seed and the fullness thereof, and caused it to be revealed to you, give the seed. That's what a prophet does. Puts the seed securely back into the house, into the sheep, into the family. Deuteronomy 31, 14 to 29. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, See, the days have drawn near for you to die. Call Yehoshua and present yourselves in the tent of appointment, so that I command him. And Moshe and Yehoshua went and presented themselves in the tent of appointment. And Yahuwah appeared at the tent, in a column of a cloud. And the column of a cloud stood above the door of the tent. It covered them. The commands and the Messiah, they cover. Endure until the end. And Yahushua said to Moshe, see, you are about to sleep with your fathers, and this people shall rise and whore. Oh. Right? So much for the word of Elohim. That's out the window, eh? And the mighty ones of the strangers of the land, into the midst of which they shall enter and forsake me, and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my displeasure shall burn against them in that day, and I shall forsake them and hide my face from them. Sounds like a famine of the word to me. And they shall be consumed in more ways than one. They shall be like prey. They shall be consumed. And many evil and distresses shall come upon them, and it shall be in that day. Is it not because our Elohim is not in our midst that these evils have come upon us? And I shall certainly hide my face in that day, because of all the evil which they have done, for they shall turn to other mighty ones. Over and over and over again. Are we truly seeking the word of Elohim? And are the shepherds truly feeding it to us? What is their desire? That's between them and Yah. And what's our desire? Are we truly seeking it? Are we okay with being whipped back and forth with every wind and wave of doctrine? Or whatever the world might be feeding us? I mean, you can even step outside of those which are talking the scriptures. Just look around today. We know the time we're in. We may not know the day and the hour. Yahushua did. There's a video on here somewhere. You can go watch it. Yahushua did. We may not know it, but we can certainly discern the signs of the time. And I shall certainly hide my face in that day because of all the evil which they have done, for they shall turn to other mighty ones. And now write down this song for yourselves, and teach it to the children of Yisrael. Put it in their mouths, so that this song is to me for a witness, as a witness for the children of Yisrael. And I shall bring them to the land flowing with milk and honey, of which I swore to their fathers, and they shall eat and be satisfied, and be fat. And they shall turn to other mighty ones, and they shall serve them and scorn me, and break my covenant, my marriage covenant. Over and over and over again. Are we hungering and thirsting for righteousness? Is that what we're being fed by the shepherds? Are we being scattered and led out to pray? Is P-R-E-Y. Is it truly what we desire? Have we become so fat and quote-unquote sassy in this day and in this age that we scorn him and break his covenant? What is our desire? Do we hunger and thirst for righteousness? We need to seek him while he may be found. And it shall be, when many evils and distresses come upon them, and that's coming, that this song shall answer before them as a witness. For it is not to be forgotten in the mouths of their seed. For I know their thoughts which they are forming today, even before I bring them to the... What do you mean he knows their thoughts before? He can't. Of course he can. Before I bring them into the land of which I swore to give them. And Moshe wrote this song the same day and taught it to the children of Yisrael. I think we're missing that today. Who's feeding us that? And he commanded Yehoshua, son of Nun, and said, be strong, grab hold and seize the Torah that Moshe has written down, and be courageous, mentally determined to do it all. For you are to bring the children of Yisrael, a picture of our chief shepherd, bringing the children of Yisrael into the land of which I swore to them, and I myself am with you. Seek him while he may be found, that we might come into the land following the truth, when the truth of Yahushua Messiah, the truth himself, Yahuwah, who came to rescue us, goes into the land. Hunger and thirst for righteousness. Do not be whipped around seeking these things. You go back and forth by every wind and wave of doctrine or anything of this world. What is our true desire? Are we really hungry for it? And is there someone to feed us? And it came to be, when Moshe had completed writing the words of the Torah in the book unto their completion, that Moshe commanded the Levites who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah, saying, take this book of the Torah, and you shall place it beside the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah your Elohim, and it shall be there as a witness. The book is the entire Torah. The marriage ketubah that's inside is contained in the book. It's contained in the Torah. The only way to get back to the marriage covenant that is inside of the ark is to desire everything that is in that book, and to be hungry for it, and to want to feed on it, and to search for it as silver and search for it as gold, like hidden treasure. And those that should be feeding it to us need to be feeding it to us. Everything from the El to the Tau. Everything, the fullness of the testimony of Yahushua Messiah, and the following of the commands, and the depths of who he is and what he has revealed for us to see in this word. What's our desire? If we don't desire to be fed, we're just going back and forth, or someone doesn't desire to feed us, there's famine in the land. Everybody wants to be, let's read it. For I myself know your rebellion and your stiff neck. See, while I am still alive with you today, you have been rebellious against Yahuwah, and how much more after my death. Assemble unto me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, so that I speak these words in their hearing, and call the Shemaim and the Eretz as a witness. For I know that after my death you shall do very corruptly, and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you. And evil shall come to you in the latter days, because you do what is evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. You can't be a shepherd feeding yourself. To provoke him through the works of your hands. There's a famine for the word in the latter days. If everyone was truly seeking and able to find and had the fullness of the desire for, and weren't being whipped around to and fro, There wouldn't be a provoking of him. Ooh, did you see that? There wouldn't be a provoking of him with the works of our hands, because the name of Yahuwah Elohim, the breath itself, would be written on our foreheads when that day comes. It would be at the forefront of our mind right now. And the works of our hands would be producing that. Jeremiah 5, 1-31. Okay. Diligently search. Go to and fro. There's the word. Back and forth movement of a whip. Diligently search. To and fro. The streets of Yerushalayim. And please look and know and seek in her open places. If you find a man, if there is anyone doing right ruling, seeking the truth, then I shall pardon her. Can't find anyone looking for the truth. Everything from the L to the Taw, which is what the word begins with and what the word truth ends with. And everything in the middle causes his likeness to continue. Seek him while he may be found. Judgment begins with the house of Elohim. Diligently searching. He's diligently searching. Yet we're being whipped around back and forth by every wind and wave of doctrine. Because there's no shepherd. Sometimes we've also got one foot in and one foot out. Why? There's nothing for us to truly feed on. And that's not that we can't go into the Word and look for ourselves and be Bereans. Well, Paul taught him, he said, go be Bereans what I taught you. Yahuwah said he'll feed you. But there's still supposed to be people out there that are responsible, following the chief shepherd. We read it in Peter. All right. Even when they say, as Yahuwah lives, they swear falsely for certain. He lives. That's the food that we're supposed to be eating. That's supposed to be filling us up. Yet we're just going to turn around and swear falsely. Come on. What are we hungry for? Oh, Yahuwah, are your eyes not on truth? You have stricken them, but they have not grieved. You have consumed them, but they have refused to receive instruction. There's a famine for the word. They don't want it. They don't desire it. They ain't hungry for it. There's no hunger and thirsting for righteousness. And there's very few to feed it to them. They all hated Jeremiah. Why? Because he fed it to them. They made their faces stronger than rock, and they refused to turn back. They refused to shub. Then I said, these are only the poor. They have been foolish, for they have not known the way of Yahuwah, the right ruling of their Elohim. There's no intimacy there. There will come a point when they want to seek, but he will not be found. Seek him while he may be found. Let me go to the great men and speak to them. For they have known the way of Yahuwah, the right ruling of their Elohim. But these have altogether broken the yoke and torn off the bonds. They've put off all restraint. Therefore, a lion from the forest shall strike them. A wolf of the deserts shall ravage them. And that's for another day. A leopard is watching over their cities. Whoever comes out of them is torn in pieces. For their transgressions have been many, and their backslidings have been numerous. Repent, Shub, seek him while he may be found. Hunger for him. Why should I pardon you for this? Your children have forsaken me and sworn by those that are not mighty ones. When I had filled them up, they then committed adultery and thronged to the house of a whore. That's a famine for the word. Now you're full? You think you did it yourself? They were like well-fed horses. Everyone neighed after his neighbor's wife. Who and what are we seeking? Would I not punish them for this, declares Yahuwah? And would I not revenge myself on such a nation as this? Go up on her walls and destroy, but do not make a complete end. Take away her branches, for they do not belong to Yahuwah. And every branch that does not produce fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Whoa. Judgment begins with the house of Elohim. The famine for the word is here. It is now. Seek him while he may be found. And you shepherds be feeding it to them. For those of the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah have utterly betrayed me, declares Yahuwah. They have been untrue to Yahuwah and said, it is not he. No evil comes upon us, nor do we see sword or scarcity of food. Guess what? It's coming. And the prophets have become wind, right? And the word is not in them. You who are supposed to be putting the seed into the house need to have the word in us first. Seek him while he may be found. Search for him as silver. Search for him as hidden treasure. And freely give that which has been given to you. Thus shall be done to them. Therefore says Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, because you speak this word, see, I am making my words in your mouth a fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them, because those who are speaking it will be like a fire, and devour the people like wood. Allow the fire and the trial to burn. Allow it to burn you off now. Seek it. Seek it. Don't let it offend you. Otherwise, it's going to consume you later. See, I am bringing a nation against you from afar, O house of Israel, declares Yahuwah. It is an enduring nation, and these guys are going to endure. I mean, until he throws them into the fire. It is an ancient nation, a nation whose language you do not know, nor do you understand what they say. No matter how hard you try. Seek him while he may be found. He wants you to understand what he has to say. The quiver is like an open burial site. All of them are mighty men. And they shall eat up your harvest and your bread, which your sons and daughters should eat. They shall eat up your flocks and your herds. They shall eat up your vines and your fig trees. With the sword they shall demolish your walled cities, in which you are trusting. But even in those days, declares Yahuwah, I shall not make a complete end of you. There will be a little flock. There is a small remnant. There is some that are in this word complete, tame for the yoke. There will not be a complete end to his people, not ever. And then there will be the millennial reign, where there'll be that chance. And it shall be, when they say, why does Yahuwah our Elohim do all this to us? Then you shall answer them, as you have forsaken me and served foreign mighty ones in your land, so shall you serve. I hope the volume's okay. So shall you serve foreigners in a land that is not yours. I got FEMA camps written here. That's probably a true statement. Declare this in the house of Jacob and proclaim it in Yehuda, saying, hear this now, O you foolish, O you silly people, without heart, who have eyes and see not, and who have ears and hear not. Do you hear? Can you hear and can you see? Are you being whipped around by every wind and wave of doctrine, every shepherd who is feeding themselves? What is your desire? Do you not fear me, declares Yahuwah? Do you not tremble at my presence? Who have placed the sand as the boundary of the sea by an everlasting law, and it does not pass over? Though its waves toss to and fro, they are not able. Though they roar, they do not pass over it. But this people has a backsliding and rebellious heart. They have turned aside and gone away. They're out there for the prey. Why? Because they weren't fed. They didn't desire it. They didn't feed themselves. They got fat and sassy. I mean, there's a whole plethora of reasons. It's just as much our fault as it is the shepherd's fault. But it's the shepherd's fault too. They have a job to do, but we're also responsible for ourselves. And they do not say in their heart, let us now fear Yahuwah our Elohim, who gives rain, both the former and the latter, in its season. He guards for us the law of weeks of the harvest. Your crookednesses have turned these away, and your sins have kept the good from you. Or seek him while he may be found. He gives all good gifts. But our crookedness and our sins will keep us away from him. We need to seek him while he may be found. For among my people are found wrong, who lie in wait as one who sets a snare. Among his own people are Rasha, who lie in wait and set a snare to trap you. They have set up a trap. They catch men. They are tares. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. They are shepherds who are feeding themselves. As a cage is filled with birds, so their houses are filled with deceit. Looks like they're hunters, like they're on the hunt, like they're on the chase. Therefore, they have become great and grown rich. They have become fat. Don't make me say and sassy. and they are sleek. They also overlooked the deeds of the wrong. They did not rightly rule the cause of the fatherless, so that they prosper. And the right of the needy they did not rightly rule. They are not seeking the word or handing it out. They did not rightly rule. Why? Because they became fat and sleek. They were too busy feeding themselves. Would I not punish them for this, declares Yahuwah? Would I not revenge myself on such a nation as this? An astounding and horrible matter has come to be in the land. That is correct. We are in a time where it is going to be astounding. Horrible would be a good description too. The prophets have prophesied falsely. The priests rule by their own hand, and my people have loved it so. Seek him while he may be found. Be a Berean. And what are you going to do at the end of it? What? Judgment begins with the house of Elohim. Oh. Okay. I closed all these tabs earlier. Who knew? I forgot it was coming up. We're going to take a break here. Oh, you can't even see the screen yet. Praise Yah. We're going to take a break here. And we're going to look at why there is a famine in our lives. Not just because the shepherds aren't feeding us. We saw this already. We saw that we even need to be Bereans in feeding ourselves. So we're going to step out of that into some articles about what's going on in today's age. And is this our life, or is this just fantasy? What should our life be? Or are we living in a fantasy world? Okay, back in a little bit. I'll let you guys get a look at the articles while I'm gone. Okay. Got the coffee. It's always a good thing. Get the coffee, right? Alright, I'm not going to read all these. I'm not going to do it tonight. You guys can go read these. I'm going to address one thing at the top. And I'm going to read one of these and a little piece on the other one. I'm not going to read much of this tonight. First, I want to talk about this contact tracing app and the Facebook post. And, oh, don't put it on your phone. If you put it on your phone, delete me from your phone, delete me from your Facebook. Blah, 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 blah. They already know who you're connected to. If you're already in somebody's phone or you're on their Facebook, one word it's known as is a limited hangout. The main thing that it's known as was Project Pogo. Project Pogo is tracking everything. Tag, track, identify. I think those are the 3 words it used. It already knows. Them days are over. Because you got your name in somebody's phone and they download this app, they already know who you are. It's not doing anything new. That whole app is a game. It is an absolute psyop. Within a psyop, within a psyop, within a psyop, as I always say. But it's an absolute psyop. So that the artificially intelligent data systems doing their quantum computing, I would assume with the D-Wave 5000 that's coming out in June, well, is out this month. I think the end of this month. I guess it is June. When they see who was near who, and they say this person's got it, test, everyone a test. There's a video out here on that. They take who that person might have been in contact with, and they combinatorially, the data systems combinatorially optimize it to see which percentage of people is going to most affect each one of their psyops that they're running compared to who they're connected to. And you know what? They could even lie about that. Oh, so-and-so's got it. Who's going to fight it for you? Come on now. It's a game. It's not real life. It's not the truth. That's what's in this first story, right? Here. You can read all about that. You can go look up Project Pogo. You won't find Project Zypher anymore. That's what's coming next, you know. If you're on the list, you're on the list. Hasta la bye-bye. I'll just tell you now. Shalom, okay? That's what this whole story right here is about. It's been going on for years. And like I said, go look up Project Pogo. This right here is one definition of one of the words that's in this article right here. This right here is a slideshow on it. This right here is another definition of something that is in this article about the whole system they've used. Okay. I was going to tie that all in. I ain't going to do it tonight. This is the one I'm going to read. Okay. What are we seeking? Are we hungering and thirsting for righteousness? Are we being whipped around by every wind and wave of doctrine? Are we being scattered by the shepherds? Are they feeding themselves as opposed to feeding the sheep? Are we ourselves guilty of having one foot in and one foot out? So we're going to go. You can find this article online at this address right here. Web address. And I'm going to pull it up over here. And hope that it printed okay. That's the first thing I'm going to hope for. This is obviously at williamandhenry.net. posted on May 22nd, 2020. Oh no, that's the wrong article. Avatar's Awakening. The rise of the artificial or authentic humans. Is this our life? Is this what we're feeding on? Is my question. Or are we hungering and thirsting and feeding on the things of righteousness from Yahuwah Elohim? Never let a good crisis go to waste, is what it says. Okay. Hold on a minute. So I'm just going to read it. To y'all. And you can read along with me. The dramatic, discouraging, and dehumanizing curtailment of a person-to-person, face-to-face contact we are now experiencing, and the zoomy simultaneous opening of the portal to the virtual world should come as a surprise to no one. Is that our life? Well, to no one who has attended any of my AI or transhumanism lectures in the past few years, or who watches my riotous presentation on Gaia. He's got a place where you can watch it for free. Gaia being Mother Earth. This dehumanization was planned. They don't want you to have the real life in Yahuwah Elohim. We are talking about the system of the anti-Messiah now. So was the opening of the portal. The mighty ones behind Silicon Valley, the generic term for the shills of AI, artificial intelligence, and transhumanism, have long been moving the herd in this direction. Is that the herd that we want to be in? Or do we want to be the sheep of Yahuwah Elohim? What kind of life are we living? Is it real? I don't know what that noise was. It just took 2 months of house arrest and in-your-face totalitarianism for the rest of us to catch up with them and to realize these people don't think much of us at all. In fact, most of us are non-essential. And that's what they think about your life. And this is what they want to feed you, a virtual world. Instead of feeding on the food of Yahuwah Elohim himself, because he lives and having life in him. They want you to have a virtual life. For decades now, we have been brainwashed by materialist-minded scientists and AI cultists that we and our biological bodies are just information and data. That's right. Forget about that mushy human you think you are. All those life-transforming concepts like, I'm not a soul having a human experience, are nonsense to the mighty ones behind Silicon Valley. Here is the great awakening they wish for you to have. You, darling one, are just data. That is not real life. From your DNA to your Facebook page, you are one data generating machine, and they can take money from. Now they have discovered that a virtual you called an avatar, who is not your real life, this is not your real life, can generate just as much data and cash as the real you. They seek to coax you into creating a cartoon avatar that will be you in the online world. Only better. Once you get comfortable with the idea of identifying your data self, because that's what they want your life to be, not in Yahuwah Elohim. They want you to live in their, this is anti-Messiah virtual world. you won't mind so much what happens to your old and ragged biological self. The reason is because long after you drop your mortal coil, your avatar will live forever in the virtual universe, or so long as it is plugged in anyway. Sounds like the Matrix. They've got all your information about you on a node, and now you've created an avatar for it. Is that our life? Have we gone that far down the tubes? Wait a minute. This sounds nuts. I thought an avatar is a spiritual term for a divine being who incarnates on earth or a human who ascends to the heavenly realms. Okay, we know that's not true. That's just part of the article. It is. Silicon Valley has co-opted this spiritual term. I will get to this real meaning of avatar on the sunny side of this article. For now, the technology mighty ones, or demons, can't just come right out and tell you that their long-term plan is to coax you out of your physical body into their black boxes to permanently exist in the simulated reality they wish to superimpose over this one. But this is what they want. They don't want you to have life in Yahuwah Elohim. You've got it coming at you from every direction. We just talked about it in the shepherds that are supposed to be in the Word. And if we've got one foot in the world, or maybe both feet, I don't know where people are at, this is what's coming at us in every respect. He does not want us to find our life in Yahuwah Elohim. He does not want us to hunger and thirst for righteousness, but to hunger and thirst for the things of the world. By the 2030s, virtual reality, interesting year, isn't it? Virtual reality will be totally realistic and compelling, and we will spend most of our time in virtual environments. We will all become virtual humans. You are the final frontier for the anti-Messiah. Your brain is the final frontier for the anti-Messiah, because he can't get to the seat of Yahuwah Elohim that is in your heart. Unless you allow him. They're allowing him into here. Ever since atheist futurist and Google's big brain, Dr. Ray Kurzweil, uttered his hyperbolic statement in 2003, these data vampires have been aiming for us to drop this physical piece of you-know-what, develop our cartoon avatar, and go live in a virtual or simulated reality in a black box. They want you to go live. They want you to live that way. Millions of people are on their way to sinking into this black box. The next step is the deepest. On the horizon, Facebook, led by Mark Zuckerberg, who may have a little more than an obsession with Augustus Caesar, and he's got his article here, has been dying to shove us off into this virtual world. Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? As you watch these clips, there's clips in this article, keep in mind the present VR world is primitive compared to where we are going, which I will show you at the end of this article. You don't want to miss it. It is where Hollywood was in the 1920s compared to where we are today. Whole new and possible worlds await. And then they show us a 2017 promo clip for Facebook Spaces. Notice how the main character transforms into a light being after he puts on his virtual reality goggles and does a primitive upload. Facebook scrapped that in 2017. But isn't it interesting? The main character transforms into a light being. His messengers are angels of light. Okay? They're messengers of light, but it's not the real light. But he wants to be the light in you. He wants you to think you are walking in the light, But it's not the light of Yahuwah Elohim. You're not going to get that in any virtual reality goggles. Facebook wants us to spend virtual time with cartoon friends and family like you're really together. How about perhaps actually spending time with them in real life then? Oh wait, you can't. Because you're on a lockdown. Because you got to be 6 foot apart. Come on. It's all leading up to you are the final frontier. We better seek Yahuwah while he may be found, because this is what it is coming to. In 2019, Facebook trashed Spaces and brought us Horizons. It is still creepy, but the graphics are getting better. As Kurzweil said, by the 2030s, interesting year again, you won't be able to tell the difference between virtual and reality. That is not life in Yahuwah. We need to seek him while he may be found. And according to Facebook, you still don't have to worry about legs or sex organs in this digital utopia. The characters, if you go over to this article and watch the video, they don't have any legs. There's no walk of Yahuwah Elohim. There's no shoes of the gospel peace. There is no male or female. There's no planting of the seed, and there's no seed breaking through the womb. Everything about this is a smack in the face of Yah. Everything about this is a smack in the face of Yah. It is anti-Messiah spirit run. Digital utopia. What we are witnessing is the Matrix manifesting before our eyes. I would concur. What is happening with the virtual reality portal / beast will transform every aspect of our society, every aspect of your life. Why? Because it wants you to have every aspect of your life in the beast system and not in Yahuwah Messiah. It is the basis for the new puking normal. There is nothing normal about this. There is nothing new under the sun. It's just the culmination of all things. Like all tools, it can be used to bring light or dark. Well, I might disagree with that. I see a lot more dark than light. Sure, it would be amazing to converse with loved ones long after they have slipped into the afterlife. When did he tell us to do that? The dead know nothing. This is an avatar. This is someone's life on a node with the picture as an avatar. That is nowhere. That is adamantly against the word of Yahuwah. In this sense, it says it will work great for the dead. The dead know nothing. To make it work for the living, if you consider this living, all we have to do is get past how it can greatly amplify escapism, depression, porn addiction, gaming addiction, and begin to see it as the light at the end of the tunnel to salvation from our miserable human existence. It doesn't have to be miserable. Seek him while he may be found. This is not our salvation from the problem reaction. This is not the solution to the problem. It is not the reaction we should have. And it is not our solution. Our solution and our salvation comes from Yahushua Messiah. Until February 2020, I still thought we had a few years before the portal to the virtual reality opened. The reason is because no one was buying the virtual reality stuff. The whole goggles thing. The brain ache isn't worth it. So forget it, said the mall rats checking it out at the Microsoft store. The mainstream was not having it. Virtual reality and its sisters, augmented reality, AR, and mixed reality, MR, have been 5 years away since Al Gore invented the internet in the 90s. It looked to remain this way. Still, 2019 was a really big year for virtual reality. The industry was growing. The money was flowing. The portal was sucking in cash. All the virtual reality mighty ones needed was some really big global event to pry the portal wide open and shove everyone in. A psyop within a psyop within a psyop. They want this to be your life. And they want to be in full control of it. When you're alive and when you're dead. Seek Yahuwah while he may be found. Hunger and thirst for righteousness. In America, the key portal masters are Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, and Google. The usual suspects. The customer is the same too. In November 2018, Microsoft won a 2-year contract worth $480 million with the U.S. government to bring augmented reality AR headsets to U.S. soldiers using HoloLens for training and on the battlefield with the addition of thermal imaging. Earlier versions allows troops to see other soldiers or satellite maps of terrain inside the headset. This contract could result in the U.S. Army buying around 100,000 mixed reality headsets from Microsoft, potentially making the U.S. Army the biggest user of headsets and the biggest producers of virtual reality-induced headaches over time. It's going to be quite an army. Soldier lethality will be vastly improved through cognitive training and advanced sensors, enabling squads to be the first to detect, decide, and engage. Just think about that now. Accelerated development of these capabilities is necessary to recover and maintain overmatch. The U.S. Army said in a tender document, a number of Microsoft employees grew a something and protested the company's involvement in building better killing machines. Microsoft Super soldiered on. And then there's a video for that. Tricks are for kids. Right? So here was the dilemma. The military is one thing when it comes to blowing cash. But we consumers don't like being tricked into thinking the fake virtual world is our salvation when it's a pain in the neck to operate. The resolution is terrible and it makes us dizzy. Plus, going through the mouth of the AR/VR dragon or portal is fun the first time, but there's not enough to do it once inside the beast, as there is little content. One reason is these apps require a ton of data. Without 5G, it is not practical to offer it. This is why Hollywood and Silicon Valley need 5G everywhere and everyone as soon as possible. Let me read that again. Need 5G everywhere in everyone as soon as possible. 5G is simultaneously the lifeblood, not just of the new transhuman, but also of the VR prison. Sorry, Portal. Okay, it's like he's saying it's like the lifeblood. Our life is in Yahushua Messiah. How can the VR developers make the trillions of dollars they hope to make if no one wants what they are peddling? How can we stop people from flying in our planes? Asked ANA Airlines and buy their Numi telepresence technology? How can we stop people from going to conferences and concerts and watch them virtually instead? We need a really big planet-wide crisis. That's how. A psyop within a psyop within a psyop. And part of the coronavirus psyop, March 2020. The global COVID-19 virus house arrest begins and the coronavirus industry is launched. Overnight, trillions of dollars are at stake for those who can save the humans with vaccines and virtual reality technology. Overnight, everything goes virtual. Conferences, concerts, families, gatherings, schools, everything. Face-to-face contact is harmful, or so we are told, over and over again by the media brainwashers. Humans are dangerous to one another. Yada, yada, yada. This is the life they want to pull you into. It's just part of the psyop. It's not the whole psyop. It's part of the psyop. Seek Yahuwah while he may be found. Even though things seem to be lightening up some right now. Okay, then there were riots, okay? What's next? Even though things seem to be lightening up some right now, it's kind of this, we're still kind of keeping it in charge. We still got the economic reset ready, if you didn't see that on June 3rd, which is Debt Jubilee. We still kind of got these things going on in some senses. It's lightening up a little bit. Is it lulled you to sleep yet? It's coming this fall. They've gained too much momentum. The anti-Messiah has gained too much momentum. This is the time. Now people are accepting it as a foregone future. I'm not. Seek Yahuwah while he may be found. He is our future. We may never be closer than 6 feet from one another again. Okay, well, could be. Billions of humans are clamoring to make contact through the portal. We are living through it. No, we're not. No, we're not. It's a psyop. Big Pharma, virtual reality, and AI cultists who are cashing in on human suffering are loving it. Dehumanization is in full motion. More is to come. Next section, we've crossed the border. As of May 2020, we have 1 foot and half our body in virtual reality land, or whatever it's going to be called. Right? Do you have 1 foot in? Do we have 1 foot in and 1 foot in trying to be in Yahusha? It ain't going to work. Oh, that's right. It's the new puking normal. Just as in a Hollywood story, the whole thing seems scripted, because it was. Right? Who the writer and director is, we don't know yet. I can tell you who it is. It's the anti-Messiah and the anti-Messiah spirit. We have a pretty good idea. Oh, maybe he's going to say that. Enter mad scientist, software engineer, and leader of one of the world's biggest virtual reality developers, secretly working for the NWO, who also happens to dream of gouging needles in people's arms filled with Satan knows what kind of chemicals and nanoparticles, and you have a perfect sinister character. That was great. Don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed. Oh, this guy says he's not opposed to vaccines or virtual reality. I am. What is troubling is the way we have been pressured into virtual reality insanity, and the way in which its promoters are dehumanizing users by suggesting they turn themselves into goofy cartoon avatars and then claim these avatars are the same as our physical selves. What is our response? There is only one answer. The sunny side. The sunny side, because the sun is like a bridegroom coming out of its chamber. It runs its ray across the sky, and no one can escape from the heat thereof. That's the sunny side. Yahusha is like, the sun is like Yahusha, like a bridegroom coming out of his chambers. I'm not saying Yahusha's the sun. Go back and watch the sun video. It's a picture. It's all a picture. We only have one response. We have to become the real-life biological avatar, or call in avatars who can help us attain the higher consciousness of the actual spiritual avatars, not the fake Silicon Valley ones. I would disagree with that. Our life is in Yahushua Messiah. When the world is, I'm gonna ad-lib this. When the world is in the grip of pain, misery, suffering, and chaos, You better turn back to Yahuwah Elohim. Repent. Return to Yahuwah Elohim. Seek him while he may be found. An avatar manifests who will push the world in a spiritual direction. No, the shepherds that are supposed to be leading the people should be manifesting and setting the example, not feeding themselves. And the people should be seeking and desiring Yahuwah Elohim and searching for him as treasure. Oh. Okay, that's enough. All right, I'll read this one more sentence. Avatar is a Sanskrit word that means descent. It is the material appearance of a divine being or a deity from heaven on earth. Think Krishna, Zoroaster, Buddha, Mohammed. Often the avatars descend in order to fight a demon on earth. Okay, we don't need any of those others. This is exactly what is happening with virtual reality. Humans are descending into a black box world under the control of psychopaths and totalitarian dictators who think of this as an improvement or an ascension. There's a hospital for you. They are the modern day beast of Revelation. That's not our life. I just wanted to point that out for some people, that we need to be hungering and thirsting for righteousness. We need to be looking to be feeding on life. Life himself, which is the concrete of stomach, which is what we saw as Yahuwah lives, that feeds us. What the shepherds should be feeding us. What we should be feeding ourselves as we look in our scriptures. What we should be praying for the revelation of every time we open our scriptures, open our research materials, pray to Yahuwah. All right. I'm going to read one paragraph out of this right here. I think you can find it at that web address. Let me see if I can pull it up over here. Read one paragraph. 163055. This is a patent. Routing policies for biological hosts comes from AT&T. Biological, you and me, hosts. Routing policies. Okay, I'm going to find this one paragraph that I'm going to read. Then we're going to move on. Get back into the scriptures. There it is. This is from Figure 11 up at the top of the patent. Figure 11 is a schematic illustrating interhost translation according to exemplary embodiments. The above paragraphs explain how the biological host may have short-range intra-host network in you. That is, the brain of any human or animal has the neurological area network, which can be addressable using the neurological addresses illustrated in Figure 9. The biological host also has the body area network, which may be addressable using the biological addresses, because your skin can be an antenna. If any biological host has either of these intrahost networks, then communications may be sent between different biological hosts. Between two people. This is the world, the virtual reality world they want you to live in. The Facebook thing is just the beginning. They want you to forget about your life. The life that Yahuwah Messiah has given us to live for Him, through Him, by Him. Just like all things that were created, we're supposed to be living in that manner towards Him, feeding on Him. But they want us in another world. They want us living another life. That is, one person's neurological area network may communicate with a different person's neurological area network. Likewise, one person's body area network may communicate with a different person's body area network. Instead, one person's neurological area network may communicate with a different person's body area network. As one person's intrahost networks are addressable, different people and animals may conduct intrahost communications. We were going to talk to our dog through the intrahost communications of the biological host wired networks that AT&T is working on. In more simple terms, one person's brain may control another person's body and vice versa. That's not life. It goes into talk about the electrical, it goes into all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to read it all. That's not our life. It's not. We need to seek Him while He may be found. Woe to the shepherds that are feeding themselves and not the flock. And now they've been scattered. Could be looking for the mighty ones of Silicon Valley, right? All right. John 14, 1 to 15. That's going to be another long one. But you guys break it down into hour segments. I know they're long. Or don't. Let not your heart be troubled. Don't let your heart be troubled. Believe in Elohim and believe in the word that He breathed. Seek it. Seek it as treasure. Seek it while He may be found. Believe in it. Walk it out. Belief is an action. In my Father's house are many staying places. O you small flock, O you little remnant in the first resurrection, you will have a priestly house to stay in. And if not, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. Following and hungering and thirsting for righteousness and seeking Him while He may be found is how the place is prepared for us to be there. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I shall come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you might be too. In the millennial reign, in the inner court, our place is prepared by our obedience, by our desire, and by our seeking. And that includes the shepherds that would be there at his revealing when the chief shepherd appears. And where I go, you know, and the way you know. Thomas said to him, Master, we do not know where you are going, and how are we able to know the way? Know the way. Be intimate with the way. We know the way. The way is through the obedience to his word. The way is to be intimate with what he's written and have the testimony of him who wrote it. Yahushua said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through obedience to the word which he breathed. He is our life. This is real life. That stuff I just read is fantasy. And that's the life that the anti-Messiah beast system, part of the PSYOP, it's only part of the PSYOP, that he wants you to live. And sheep that have been scattered by a woe to a shepherd, by the woeful shepherd, some of them are falling for this hook, line, and sinker. Come on now. It's eating them up like prey. If you had known me, wait a minute. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father. If you would have been intimate with the word, with the language, knowing his language on every level, you would have known my Father too, because he is his word. From now on, you know him and have seen him. Philip said to him, Master, show us the Father, and it is enough for us. Yahushua said to him, Have I been with you so long, and you have not known me, Philip? Are we not intimate with him? I mean, he was with them so long, and they had problems knowing who he was at times, that he was really the Father in them. I've been with you this long. Do you not know how great it is for those that have not seen and believe? That is our life. That is the life we are to be living and the life we are to be seeking. The testimony of Yahuwah, the fullness of him bodily who came to rescue us. Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak for myself. For it is the Father who stays in me, does his work. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father is in me. Otherwise, believe me because of the works themselves. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall also do. That is the life that we should be living, to seek to do the words that Yahuwah, who came to rescue us, to do those works and follow that which he spoke. That is the way, that is the truth, and that is the life we are to be living. And greater works than these he shall do, because I go to my Father. The word did not return void. There are more of us to do these works. Are they greater than Yahushua who came to rescue us? Or are they able to be more plentiful because there should be more of us doing them? And where are these works? Where are these miracles? Are the shepherds feeding themselves or are they feeding the sheep? This one was feeding the sheep. What was he feeding them? The way, the truth, and the life. Because the way of truth leads to life. Is that what we're seeking? Is that what we're being fed? And whatever you ask in my name, that I shall do, in order that the Father might be esteemed in the word which he breathed, because you have obeyed it. If you ask whatever in my name, Yahuwah, who came to rescue you, I shall do it, because you are following the word and obeying that which was breathed. If you love me, if you love his word, if you love what he breathed, you shall guard Yahuwah's commands. My commands, he said. Why? Because they're his commands. Whose commands? The Father's commands. But this is Yahushua speaking. This is life. Following the commands. Love me. Follow my commands. Feed my sheep. And I shall ask the Father, and he shall give you another helper to stay with you forever. The Spirit of truth. Because it does not see him or know him. No, excuse me, I read that wrong. I skipped a whole line. Spit that out of my mouth. The Spirit of truth, whom the world is unable to receive, because it does not see him, nor does it know him. They don't have life. But you know him, for he stays with you and shall be in you. That is life. Seek it while it may be found. I shall not leave you. Oh, I'm still reading. Oh, I shall not leave you orphans. I am coming to you. Seek him while he may be found. If you love him, guard his commands. If you love him, feed his sheep. Feed him the testimony of Yahushua Messiah, and feed him the commands. Feed him everything from the El to the Taw in its proper order. If you come to this intimate level, feed it to them. Psalm 146. Praise Yah. Shine forth through words and actions for Yah. This is our life. Praise Yahuwah, O my being. Shine forth through words and actions in everything in its proper order, from the El to the Taw, with your whole being, with your whole soul. This should be our life. While I live, I praise Yahuwah. This should be our whole life, shining forth through words and actions for Yahuwah. This should be the shepherd's whole life, shining forth through words and actions for Yahuwah, because we love him with all of our heart, mind, soul, strength, and feed it to those instead of keeping it for ourselves. Scattering the sheep. This I sing praises to my Elohim while I exist. That is life. This is what we live for. Do not push your trust in princes, in a son of man in whom is no deliverance. There is no Shua. There is no Shah. There is no Yahuwah who comes to rescue you from some man. It's not talking about the son of Adam, the seed that was planted in the earth. There's no deliverance. There's no salvation in any of these other things. If you've been hurt by a shepherd, don't stop. Or a supposed shepherd, don't stop. Keep going. And don't dwell on it. I know it's hard. Don't become bitter. His spirit goes out. He returns to his earth. In that day his plans perish. Yes. Yes, all those who are not living for Yahuwah Elohim, their plans will perish. Blessed is he who has the El of Jacob for his help, whose expectancy is in Yahuwah, his Elohim. Maker of the heavens and earth, the sea and all that is in them, who is guarding truth forever. Our life is in the expectancy that is in Yahuwah, who came to rescue us, our Elohim. Seek him while he may be found. Doing right ruling for the oppressed, giving bread to the hungry, Yahuwah releases those who are bound. Yahuwah opens the eyes of the blind. Yahuwah raises those who are bowed down. Yahuwah loves the righteous. That is our life. He gives bread to the hungry. There is going to be a time of hunger and thirst, and hunger for the word. Seek it while it may be found. Yahuwah guards the strangers. He lifts up the fatherless and the widow, but the way of the wrong ones he turns upside down. It's a twisted mark. Yahuwah reigns forever, O Zion, first resurrection language. Your Elohim to all generations. Praise Yah. That is our life. While we live, we praise Yahuwah. We're going to reign with him forever, because he reigns forever. That is life, not living forever in some avatar world. Seek him while he may be found. Oh. Daniel 12. Now at that time, Michael shall stand up, the great head, who is standing over the sons of your people. And there shall be a time of distress such as never was since there was a nation until that time. And at that time, your people shall be delivered, every one who is found written in the book. Seek him while he may be found. We're still working on first resurrection material here. There'll be a time at the end of the millennial reign where the second death will have power over some people. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth wake up. Some to everlasting life, and some to reproaches, everlasting abhorrence. And those who have insight shall shine like the brightness of the expanse. These were people that were in the first resurrection, that were in the millennial reign, that fed the nations. You ain't feeding them here. It's obvious that you're not going to be feeding them there. They shall shine like the brightness of the expanse, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. They fed the sheep, not themselves, and the people found it. Because there are a few who will be feeding. Yahuwah shall feed the people as well. But there are some who will feed the people. But they are far and few between. There'll be a time where the only place we'll go is Yahuwah. And I think we'll be, well, that's another story. Hungered and thirsted for righteousness while it could be found. But that goes with, but you, Daniel, hide the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Then it says, many shall diligently search. But that many is also Daniel 12:4. Let's look at it in the eSword, because I want to show you this. Seal it till the time of the end. The end of something, or to make an end by cutting it off. The end of a time period or end of something. Okay? This is where we got our summer fruit. The end of the summer season. What's at the end of the summer season? What comes? The fall. Everything that grew through the summer. Alright. That's not what I want to talk about, though. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book to the time of the end. Many. One who is abundant in authority. It's a Rob. It's got rabbi going on, whatever. An abundance of numbers many, or strength great. From the idea of greatness in authority. Those who are great in authority have diligently searched, and knowledge has increased. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of the times, knowledge of the seasons, knowledge of the Torah, knowledge of how to feed the people, knowledge of the commands, knowledge of the testimony, knowledge of everything that is coming upon the world. This is not a bad thing. The resh is a picture of the head. The bait is a picture of the tent representing the family. Combined, these mean head of the family. Those who are heads of the family. Those who are the harvest of heads. Each family has a master that rules all cases, trials, conflicts, and contests. This person was a representative for the whole tribe, one abundant in authority and wisdom. These are the ones who have led many to righteousness and are like the bright and shining stars. It is the same to and fro as the whip that's whipping around. But instead of losing focus, as they searched and sought for him diligently, that which would try to whip them to and fro by every wind and wave of doctrine did not do it, because they stayed focused and looked for that which would feed them in this famine at every turn. And they fed the people in return, because it says they led them to righteousness, like stars, like the brightness, like shining forth through their words and their actions. We need to seek him while he may be found. And we need to feed that to others. Then I, Daniel, looked and saw two others standing, one on the bank of the river and the other on that bank. And one said to the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, "How long until the end of these wonders?" And I heard the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river. He held up his right hand and his left hand to the heavens, and swore by him who lives forever and ever, that it would be for an appointed time, appointed times, and half a time. The time is now. Everything is being unsealed. We are so near time to the time of the end. And when they have ended scattering the power of the set-apart people, then all these shall be completed. This is the word swearing by him who breathed it. That's who our life should be in. This is what our life should be about. Being counted amongst those who bring others to righteousness. And I heard, but I did not understand. So I said, "My master, what is the latter end of these matters?" And he said, "Go, Daniel, for the words are hidden and sealed till the time of the end." We can see the end of the matters. We are the final frontier for the anti-Messiah. We have been all along, but now we've come to the culmination of it. We've come to the culmination of it all. Biological hosts. Avatars that will live forever in a virtual world. The scattering of the sheep. Because the shepherds are too busy feeding themselves. There's that word many again. Those that are heads of the family, that are great in authority, shall be cleansed and made white and refined, wearing a bridal garment. But the wrong shall do wrong, and none of the wrong shall understand. But those who have insight shall understand. Those who had insight were in verse 3. Do you understand what is coming? What is being revealed? What is being opened up right now before us? And from the time that which is continual is taken away, and the abomination that lays waste is set up, is 1,290 days. Get in that little black box. You seen it over there under the, over at the Sanhedrin seat? You seen the black box? You know that ties in. Blessed is he who was waiting earnestly and comes to the 1,335 days. But you go your way till the end. And rest and arise to you. And rest and arise to your lot at the end of days. Ooh, interesting. We need to seek him while he may be found. Our life is in us shining forth through our words and actions, shepherding the sheep, feeding them because we love him and have a desire for the sheep to be fed, to freely give what we have received. and for each one of us to stay out of this life, this world, this final frontier that they would like to bring us into. John 6. (50 to 54). This is the bread which comes down out of the Shemaim, so that anyone might eat of it and not die. Because we want to live, right? Feed on it. Seek him while he may be found. I am the living bread. This should be our life, which came down out of the Shemaim. If anyone eats of this bread, he shall live forever. This is our life. And indeed, the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. The Yehudim, therefore, were striving with one another, saying, How is this one able to give us his flesh to eat? Seek the word while it may be found. Eat the word. Yahusha therefore said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh, unless you eat the word, unless you eat the house's seed that was planted in the earth, and drink his blood, you possess no life in yourselves. There is no life. We have no life in anything else. And he who eats my flesh and drinks my blood possesses everlasting life, and I shall raise him up in the last day. What we feed on in the Hebrew thought has to do with whether your stomach is full and revived or whether you are weak and you die. There is going to be a famine for the word. There's a famine for the word now. Because we're not being fed it. Because we don't desire it. Because the anti-Messiah spirit would like to pull us away to live in their false life and reality. Seek him while he may be found. He who eats my flesh. G 5176. To gnaw or to chew, that is to eat. Goes to Habakkuk 3:14. You shall pierce with his own arrows the head of his leaders. They stormed along to scatter me, rejoicing as if to devour, eat the poor in secret. Sounds like some of what we just read. Goes to H 398. The bride is feeding, has life, because of what she eats. Here it is, eat. This is the bride line. El Kaf Lam. The action is eat, the concrete is food. Through sustenance, one becomes whole and satisfied. Because it fills the stomach and it gives you life. Because life is from the stomach. It's all tied together. Do that again. Okay. Kaf Lam. The action is complete, the concrete is vessel, the abstract is whole. The Kaf is a picture of the bent palm, representing the bending or subduing of the will. The Lam is a picture of a shepherd's staff or yoke. Combined, these mean tame for the yoke. An animal or land that is tamed has been worked and is complete and ready for use. Are we? Or are we still feeding ourselves? Taming includes construction of the holding pens, putting the soil of the heart to the plow, harvesting of the crops, milk or meat one eats once the harvest is complete. That's all first resurrection and marriage supper of the Lamb language. What we eat will give us the strength to be tame for the yoke, to bend our will to the shepherd, to bend our will to his instructions. If we bend our will to the shepherd, we have the testimony of Yahushua Messiah. If we bend our will to the instructions, which is another definition of the lam or the shepherd's staff, we're following the commands. If we are feeding on that, we should be feeding it to others. We need to eat of Yahushua Messiah. Feed on that. Feed on the word. If you love him, feed his sheep. Feed them. There's a famine in the land. Woe to the shepherds. And be responsible for yourself. Open your book so Yahuwah can feed you, when the shepherds won't. For my flesh is truly food, and my blood is truly drink. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood stays in me, and I in him. As the living Father sent his word, which he breathed, wrapped himself in it, and I live because of the Father. Because if he hadn't breathed his word, there wouldn't be any word. It's just that simple. So he who feeds on me shall live because of me. Feed on him. Seek him while he may be found. This is the bread which came down out of the heaven, not as your fathers ate the manna and died. He who eats this bread shall live forever. And those who eat it need to be feeding it to others. If you love him, you will feed his sheep. Because he's very capable of doing it himself. He said in the, I can't remember where it was, we read it, that Yahuwah will feed them. If you ain't gonna, he will. But we as individuals have to desire that. He said this in the congregation, teaching in Capharnaum. I was going to look at that, but it's too long now. Another time. Therefore, many of his taught ones, having heard this, said, "This word is hard. Who is able to hear it?" Well, if you knew what it meant, you'd be able to hear it. Many of his taught ones. But Yahushua, knowing within himself that his taught ones were grumbling about this, said to them, "Does this make you stumble? Does eating the word that was made flesh cause you to stumble? Do you only see the physical picture? What if you see the sun, the house's seed that was planted in the earth, going up to where he was before? It is the spirit that gives life. The flesh does not profit at all. The spirit of truth and feeding on that is what gives us life. The words that I speak to you are spirit and are life. That is what we should be feeding on and walking in and feeding to others because we love him. But there are some of you who do not believe, for Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were, who did not believe, and who would deliver him up. And he said, "Because of this, I have said to you that no one is able to come to me unless it has been given to him by the Father. He is the potter, we are the clay." From then on, many of his taught ones withdrew and were not walking with him anymore. I just couldn't do that. Can we? Yahushua therefore said to the 12, "Do you also wish to go away?" Then Shimon Kepha, answering him, "Master, to whom shall we go? You possess the words of everlasting life. Feed on those. Feed on the bread of life, and because you love him, Kepha, feed my sheep." And we have believed and we know that you are the Messiah, the seed, the house of seed of the living Elohim. Feed on that. Yahusha answered them, have I not chosen you, the 12, and one of you is a devil. Use him too. He was now speaking of Yehuda from Kerioth, the son of Shimon, for he was the one of the 12 who was about to deliver him up. He possesses everlasting life. All right, 2 more sections. They're long ones. 2 more slides. I don't even know if I can see these pages anymore. I need a light up here. Romans 8. I can find where it starts here. Oh my goodness. Look at that. I would encourage everyone to go read Romans 8, 1 through 39 and think about walking and living life in the Spirit, dying to the flesh, feeding on that which gives you life. I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to go on to the next one. Isaiah 55. I'm sure this is the last one. Yes, it is. Isaiah 55, 1 through 13. O everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. Come to the living waters. Seek him while he may be found. And you who have no silver, come buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without silver and without price. Seek him while he may be found. And for you that are seeking him, and you've come to this point, do you love him enough to feed his sheep? Why do you weigh out silver for what is not bread, and your labor for what does not satisfy? Why do you give out cash to the shepherds that feed themselves, or to the Silicon Valley mighty ones of the world? For in them is no salvation. Why do you waste your time? Listen, listen. Shema, Shema. Listen to me. And eat what is good. What is good? The word is good. The word is Tob. Eat that which will fill you up and give you life. And let your being delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear and come to me. Shema. Hear, obey, eat and live so that your being lives. Feed on the word so that the second death you are in the first resurrection has no power over you. Seek him while he may be found. And let me make an everlasting covenant with you. A marriage covenant. Is that what we want to be in? Is that what we're feeding on so we can be tamed for the yoke? The trustworthy, loving commitments of Dawid. A king and a priest that ate from the table of showbread. He was not a Levite. He was in order under the king of righteousness. See, I have given him as a witness to the people, a leader, and a commander for the people. See, a nation you do not know shall call, and a nation who does not know you run to you, because Yahuwah your Elohim, the set apart one of Israel, he has adorned you. Some will seek him while he may be found. Oh, seek Yahuwah while he is to be found. Call on him while he is near. Guess what it is? Near time. Let the wrong forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to Yahuwah. Let him shub. Let him repent. Seek now, while he may be found. Who has compassion on him and to our Elohim, for he pardons much. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares Yahuwah. So search for those now and feed on them. Not feeding ourselves, not our own ways, not the ways of the world, not whatever we want to do. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than your ways, my thoughts than your thoughts. That's life. Searching for those is life. As the rain comes down and the snow from the heavens, and do not return there, but water the earth, and make it bring forth bud, and give seed to the sower, and bread to the eater. So is my word that goes forth from my mouth. It does not return to me empty, but it shall do what I please, and shall certainly accomplish what I sent it for. The rain does come down and the snow from the heavens. They do water the earth. And when the heat of the sun comes down, some of that humidity does go back up. But it does water. It does accomplish its purpose while it's here, and it does not return void. That's what we need to feed on. That's what our life is in, because that's the word that does not return void. And if we are going to rise in the first resurrection, we need to seek that while it may be found. It is going to accomplish what he sent it for. Do we want to accomplish what we're here for? For with joy you go out, and with peace you are brought in. The mountains and the hills break forth into singing before you, and the trees of the field clap their hands, because the sons of Elohim come forth. Instead of the thorn and the cypress coming up, and instead of the nettle and the myrtle comes up. And it shall be to Yahuwah for a name, and for an everlasting sign, which is not cut off. We need to seek him while he may be found. The shepherds need to be feeding the sheep, not themselves, to freely give what they have been given, and to search for him as hidden treasure. And we need to be doing it as well. We need to not be tossed to and fro by every wind and wave. And if our desire is not of him, he's going to leave us in a famine for the word. Do we really love him? Is that our desire? Praise Yah. We just thank you, Father. I ask Yah that each and every one of us might seek you while you may be found. That as a great famine is coming upon the land, Father. It's coming physically. You may have allowed it, but you are sending a famine for the word because nobody wants it. The shepherds don't want to feed it. The people don't desire the depths of it. Yah, I ask, Father, that as many as you might, little flock, small remnant, Father, that you would open the ears and open the eyes and cause the hearts to turn and repent, Yah. That we would seek you while you may be found. That we would know that our life is in you, Yahuwah Elohim, and in no other. That we would feed on that. Taming our allowing us to be tame for the yoke, bending our will to the testimony of who you are, and bending our will to the commands, that we would be ready for our bridegroom when that door opens, and our lamps would be filled with oil. We thank you, Yahuwah. We love you. Do we really love him? I love you, Yahuwah Elohim. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.